My name is Alton. I'm Brother Alton, and I'm a recovered addict, and I'm powerless over alcohol for where it would lead me. I'm not an alcoholic because I don't have the allergy for alcohol. Um, First and foremost, I want to thank the Lord of Lords and the God of Gods and the King of Kings for allowing me to stay clean and sober for the last 43 years. And I'm a member of Cocaine Anonymous in good standing. And I'd like to welcome the newcomer to Cocaine Anonymous. And I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. However, it's kind of awkward because I can't hear anything you're saying for some reason or another. However, I'm happy that you can hear me. My disease didn't begin with my first drink pill of fix, and my disease didn't end with my last drink pill of fix. And I suffer from the disease of disease and discomfort. I get from my last, the further I get from my last drink pill of fix, the closer I get to my next drink pill of fix, because I am the people of the lie. In other words, I believe the lie, the great lie is coming. Uh, and I'm and it's possible for me to, with the lie, being the people of the lie, to overestimate my recovery and underestimate my disease. Because without God, my mind plans against me behind my back. Excuse me. The big book prophecy is that if I have the mind of an alcoholic and or an addict, the time and place will come when I will use again. And um, and the things that are blocking me, I'm either moving towards the things that are blocking me from God, or I'm removing the things that are blocking me from my next drink pill of fix. There's no middle of the road solution for me. And what is middle of the road? In the middle of the road solution is anything that cannot or will not show me where or how to get a deep, effective spiritual experience. I must have a message that has depth and weight, that can shake me up, wake me up, clean me up, and stand me up, because I am spiritually asleep. I'm in zero, dreaming I'm alive, but spiritually I'm blind, deaf, and dumb. I was like a dead battery in a car that needs a jump start. My condition is the fullness of my condition. I need to see that in the first step. And the first step shows me the fullness of my self-imposed crisis. I need to face the terror of the first step, because the first step is supposed to terrorize me and push me to the second step. And my spiritual dead battery jump starts in step 3. And at the jumping off place where I have to make the decision that God is either everything or he's nothing. He either is or he isn't. Because if he isn't, I'm fucked. Because fortunately, I smashed all my options before I started the process of recovery. I was clear that I was beyond the human aid, and heroin was my first love, and it turned on me. It turned to hate, and only left me with the tracks of my tears up and down both of my arms. And today, the tracks are still there, but they're not fresh. I thank God my tracks are not fresh. The 12 steps allowed me not to regret or the past, nor shut the door on it. Uh, the 12 steps gave me life, light, and energy to reconstruct my life and move out with real purpose and direction. I live in the presence of now. I live in the presence of now, meaning that I look at my recovery a day at a time. Because if I concentrate on the past and I concentrate on the future, I'll shit all over the present. A foot in the past, a foot in the future will make me shit all over the present. And it's like the old saying goes, yesterday is a canceled check. Tomorrow is a promissory note. So today I deal strictly with cash, spiritually speaking. Um, I realized that after using heroin, I had to go to zero, which is before step 1. Because in step 1, I'm taking a step. I'm making. I'm in motion. But in zero, I'm on a horizontal level. I'm on a dead level. I'm in the same condition as a man in a corpse, and I needed to be resurrected. I needed something that had a grip that would allow me to pull up to a 90-degree perpendicular and stand upright to where I'm now standing up, looking up and out, looking and seeing spiritually where I'm going and how I can now contribute to life instead of snatch everything out of life. And these 12 steps need to give me the power to look deeply into myself, like a miner with a miner hat in a coal mine. And what I'm supposed to focus on I was supposed to focus on, especially in step 4, was not the dirt. Like a miner doesn't focus on the dirt, but a miner focuses on the minerals and resources that is in the dirt. And spiritually, that's what I do, or that's what I've done. And saw that I am worthy of God's attention. I am worthy of being restored. I am worthy of being rebuilt and worthy to live in this day and time. So the ABCs that I admit, A, that I'm an addict and powerless over narcotics and alcohol for where it would lead me, and my life is unmanageable. And B, that no human aid or power can relieve me of my alcoholism or drug addiction. And C, it is more than the alphabet C. It's also the physical C, where that a power greater than myself can relieve me of my addiction and keep me clean and sober as long as I perform his work well in terms of working with others and staying out of myself. And it's difficult to see yourself from yourself, and it's necessary for me to allow others to see me how they see me, because I have a lopsided viewpoint looking at myself in the mirror, and I need others to share with me what they see sometimes to help me stand up and be corrected, and always try to remain humble. And I saw that the fifth step was was like a funeral, because the Alton that went in wasn't the same Alton that came out. And I know that I realized that my character defects that were glaring, I asked God to diminish on a daily basis. However, I have just enough defects to remain human and not to get the idea that for some reason of going through the work and I'm no longer drinking or using, that I'm superior to the new person or I am better than the new person. It keeps me in a place where I remain um, in the middle, not superior, not inferior, but somewhere in the middle. And that always helped me in the type of work I do. I work in the field of prison reentry for people that come get out of prison, ex-lifers, and I help them to obtain certain resources and other things that they necessarily need to change. Because there's five stages of change. There's pre-contemplation, which is like the first step, where a person is not really ready to make up their mind to prepare themselves to change. They're like on the fence. They're like wobblers, you know. One day they're ready to use, and another day they're not. However, they have to see, usually I had, like I did, had to see that I have legal problems. I have family problems. I have financial problems. I have spiritual problems. I have emotional problems, and I need help. And that word is a word of admission. And the process of recovery is not a process of acceptance. First step is not a step of acceptance. It's a step of admission, because it's unacceptable for me to be powerless to live. have no power to live. It's unacceptable for me to be prey to misery and depression, feeling like I'm not good enough and I don't fit in. Problems with personal relationships and so forth and so on. It's unacceptable. I need help. I need a solution to my emotional nature, to the way I see life. I need a new outlook on life. I need a new values, new ideas, so I could start living on a new level. And I realized that I can't change the past, but I could do something about the present. And I saw that in step 8, when I made my list from my recovery, I had a lot of people I needed to make amends to. Um, I made one list of people that I was willing to go to and I knew where they were. Another list of people that I knew where they were, and I was willing, didn't know where they were, and I was willing to go to them. And another list of people that I that I wasn't that I wasn't willing to go to, but I knew where they were, and I wasn't willing to go to them, and I didn't know where they were. And I started with the list of people that I was willing to go to, and I knew where they were. And the amends that I had to make was a formal amends. Um, I was told not to do any sloppy amends, which is mere saying that I'm sorry. But people pretty much knew I was sorry. I used to hear that all the time. My formal amends was script was, whether you know it or not, my name is Alton. I wouldn't give him an alias. And for the past, at that time, several months, I've been in a recovery process. And in that recovery process, I had to do an inventory myself. And in that inventory, I saw some harm that I caused you. And the harm that I'm clear on that I caused you was that I robbed you in whatever year it was. And I don't recall how much money I took. And do you need to tell me, is there any other harm I caused you? I don't recall. And I would pause. And I would ask, do you need to tell me how the harm that I caused you hurt your establishment? And I'd pause. If they had anything to say. And then I would say, what can I do to make it right? And they would let me know. Generally, they told me, what you're doing is making it right. And then I would ask them, can I be forgiven? Now, I saw the change that the establishments that I had to go to, which was many, 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 because my hustle varied from robberies, burglaries, shoplifting, pimping, um, selling heroin, many things, many various hustles. And each amends varied. Um, I was told I was forgiven. I usually prayed, God, offer myself to thee to build with me, to do with me as I will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I may help. Of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life, may I do thy will always. My Creator, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character that stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do thy bidding. Amen. And God, please remove all my fears from me and direct my attention which you'd have me to be. And I would call them first if I could. And if I couldn't, then I would approach them to see through prayer if it was the right time to make that amends. And generally speaking, in the past, what I recall, it was pretty much the right time. I also went back to school because all the friends that I've had when I first got clean were participating in criminal activity and selling and using narcotics. So I got a suggestion and a direction to go back to school. I already had a high school diploma, but I went back to community college to get an AA degree. So I attended the community college, and being new in that environment was a real challenge because I hadn't been in school for so many years. The only school I was in was the school of the streets, the street life. So I talked to I don't know what you call him, the director of the school, and I told him I had a meeting with him in his office, and I told him how I felt because I'd gotten used to being honest about my feelings and my fears. And I told him I feel pretty old being around these youngsters going to class, and I'm and I explained to him what my background was like. I'm an ex-felon and been in a drug program, and this is new. So he shared with me, well, fortunately, you're more advanced than you think you are. You're an asset to this school because school is really a part of life, your experiences, and you live two lives in one lifetime, and you have a lot to contribute to the classes that you'll be taking in psychology and sociology and so forth and so on. So that person didn't know, but he gave me enough information and reassurance that allowed me to go to school. Now, when I was going to school, the challenges that I had was that I had to move at one time from a relationship. I had to move from this young lady's house in this relationship as I was going through the 12 steps and what have you. And she was untreated. And I had to move back to my sister's. And my sister was not in recovery. She didn't sell heroin, but she sold crack cocaine. And her husband was like a shot caller for this gang called the Bloods. And I just needed a minute to find another place to stay. And at that time, I wasn't aware of sober livings or what have you. We're talking about 43 years ago. And my mom died when I was using heroin. She died on the phone while I was trying to cop a $50 raw spoon of heroin from the dope dealer. And as a matter of fact, my mother allowed me to shoot dope at home growing up. And it's ironic she died while I was talking to the dope man. And so I'm on my sister's couch, and she's selling crack out the window, and he's having blood meetings, gangbanging meetings in the living room while I go to school and work. And I was working at the truck yard during the day, and I would go to school at night. And the truck yard, I had to unload 40-foot trucks unloading merchandise, and it was very testing, because I fortunately during that time I've heard Joe Hawk speaking at a meeting. It was just in time because when before before Cocaine Anonymous, I had to attend Narcotic Anonymous, and our Narcotic Anonymous really wasn't where I belonged. Yeah, it was heroin. I mean, it's about narcotics, but I didn't belong there because I felt I didn't belong there because I didn't get the process of recovery until I found Cocaine Anonymous. And when I would attend a Narcotic Anonymous, it was just about dumping, just sharing your problems, and just whatever your problems are or whatever you're doing, just it was just about just not drinking use no matter what. Now I'm not a just not drinking use no matter what dope fiend. I use no matter what. I shoot dope no matter what. So that message for me wasn't for me. I didn't have that kind of power. to just not drink and use no matter what. So for a long time when I was in Narcotic Anonymous, I used it just to dump what I'm going through with my sisters, what I'm going through with the job, what I'm going through with the car, what I'm going through with the relationship. And that gave me a sober bottom. I just didn't relapse, but I hit a sober bottom emotionally, and I was angry because I just didn't feel like I should have gotten clean and sober just to feel my my problems in its fullness. It wasn't adequate. And so, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And then here came Cocaine Anonymous. And then I went over to Cocaine Anonymous and I heard Joe Hawk and I asked him to sponsor me. Now, two things took place when that happened. One, in the environment I was living in temporarily, was hostile and difficult and uneasy. It added to my unmanageability. And when I would go to Joe's house, it was 180-degree opposite because I had to get with him at the steps at his house, which was at the beach. So, God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. I had just enough dissatisfaction because I believe it takes 100% dissatisfaction to bring about 100% change. And I was 100% dissatisfied. So it was enough to usher me from zero in step one to admit grudgingly that I'm fucked if I don't complete these steps, because it was the last solution as far as I was concerned for me. I had no more options. I knew religion couldn't keep me clean and sober. I knew that education wouldn't keep me clean and sober. I knew a relationship wouldn't keep me clean and sober. And I definitely knew family members couldn't help me stay clean and sober. And so my options were already smashed, definitely, before I got into step one. So I wasn't looking for a new way or a new method on how to continue to stay lost in the sauce, to continue to find or figure out a way to get high, participate in criminal activity, and juggle or manipulate my way through life. That all ceased. I was going through step one with all or nothing. Yeah. So when he laid the kit of tools at my feet, I definitely picked them up. All of them up, not in a fraction, but in its wholeness. And I wholeheartedly believed what I saw about me, which terrorized me because I had to look at the first step without God, without going to God, only looking at the tools or the so-called tools that I thought I had. My plans, my schemes, my thinking, my beliefs, my values. So all I had to look at as far as my relationship in terms of staying clean and sober for the rest of my life, not for 6 months or 9 months or a year or 2 years, but for the long haul. I was looking at the long haul, staying clean and sober permanently. And that was the idea. It's interesting. We call it the big book. Yeah, it's big and it's heavy, but I see it as being called big because the idea contained in the book is big. And I had to swallow the idea. It's in the book, the idea's in the book, but until I swallow what I'm experiencing in each step, it's asinine. For me, it's because it's not a intellectual exercise. It's a spiritual exercise. And anytime I started looking at it as being an intellectual exercise, it would not behoove me to look at the 12 promises. In other words, my experience is, and I learned early through my grand sponsor, Don P. That was Joe Hawk's sponsor. And we were at a retreat one time, and it was down the street from Michael Jackson's home. And it was at a monastery in Pacific Palisades, California. And we were there for the whole weekend. And I remember I was approached by Don P. And he said he's been watching me, and he noticed that I was taking in everything at the retreat to the max. I was really trying to wring out like a wet rag to the last drop of what was being shared and what was being done. And he shared with me this, and I never forgot it. He told me to stay away from that intellectualizing masturbation bullshit with the 12 steps that some fellows in the fellowship fall into. And I watched it happen through the years with my comrades. Not all of them, but some of them. And what happened is they intellectualized so much the 12 steps, which is not an intellectual exercise, it's a spiritual exercise. But however, intellectualizing to the point where they believe that God removed the allergy in their body for alcohol or drugs. And with that lie, through intellectualizing the 12 steps, they began to drink again because they believed the lie that God removed their allergy after saying in the first step originally that they had the allergy and admitted they had the allergy through the various hard questions posed on them and myself about having the allergy, having the power, having the control, having the choice in their relationships with drugs and alcohol, and admitting that they've lost power, they lost choice, lost control. And then getting further into the work. And after a while, like it's prophesied in the book, that the time is coming. If you have the mind of an alcoholic or an addict, the time and place is coming when I will drink and use again. If I'm not spiritually fit, not intellectually fit, I will use again. So I saw that I've never regained legs to drink and use like a man never regained legs to walk again. I've never regained power. I never regained choice. I never regained control. The truth of what I saw in the first step 43 years ago is still the truth because the past with my relationship to heroin and narcotics and even alcohol, even though I don't have the allergy for alcohol, I know that I can't drink alcohol even though I'm not an alcoholic. That's never changed because I still see, like I did in the past, my relationship with alcohol will lead me to heroin. And what the truth was in the past is that with heroin and coke and alcohol is the truth in the present. And the truth of the past with alcohol and narcotics is the truth in the future. It never changes because I look back on what I experienced with drugs and alcohol in the past. And that hasn't changed. So it's staying in the present of now. that helps me. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but in the presence of now. It allows me to ask myself why, because I need to trick my ego. My ego has to be tricked with the truth, because my ego wants me to believe that I could continue to use without God. My ego wants me to believe that I can continue to use even if I die. We don't need your body. We can just keep doing this. No. What I need to do is to stay focused and ask, why am I blessed? My ego don't want me to ask that. My ego wants me to say, I am blessed. I am happy. It may be true, but my ego wants to come behind that and bring up some other bullshit. But when I say, why am I blessed? Why am I happy? Why do I love the nature of life? Why do I love the sun, the moon, and the stars? Why do I love myself? Why do I love my community? Why do I love others? Why do I love the truth? Why do I love God? My ego can't fuck with that and come behind me with some bullshit. Because I'm the people of the bullshit. Why you say that, Brother Alton? Because bullshit and truth for me runs neck and neck. And the only thing that keeps my bullshit from my disease of dis-ease and discomfort is God. He keeps the truth in front of the bullshit, because the truth and bullshit runs neck and neck. And the disease that I have will give my bullshit power to take me back to zero. Zero is an interesting number because it means negative. It means nothing. What do you mean zero means nothing? It means nothing. It means no direction and no purpose. And when you have no direction and purpose, you stuck in zero. And it doesn't get better in zero, it gets worse. You start from the center of zero and you look up and you're way on the left side of zero. If you don't just get to one, if you're on the left side of zero, you got to get to the center of zero, then you got to get on the right side of zero to get into one. What is one, man? One is where you become with God. You get that zero next to that one and you become a 10 because God is one. And you put that one with your zero, you got a 10. You a 10 with that zero when you get with God. But I had spiritual sludge. I had a lot of spiritual mud that had to be resolved, that had to be removed. And that was the wash up that I had with the cleansing that I had with the recovery process. It's a process, a washing process, a spiritual washing, a spiritual cleansing of what? The spiritual sludge and the spiritual mud that is deep down within each man, woman, and child, the fundamental of the idea of God, that's covered with the sludge, the spiritual sludge and the mud, and the 12 steps, step 4 through 9, had to wash away, had to remove, so that I could see and feel and touch and move that power, that 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 reality deep down within me. You know, just like the power that you can use to change in your room, where you can put the light in this room and that room and that one. We're able to do that with my life, with that power to go anywhere among anybody and perform God's work with others. And so my communication with myself was important first for me to talk kind to me. Talk to myself kindly. You know what I mean? And showing love for myself. I can't love anybody else if I don't love myself. It has nothing to do with self-grandizement. It's just something that I'm innate to have for myself, to myself. It has nothing to do with looking at my hair and my mustache and whatever else in the mirror. It's not even about that. It's just having a love for you. You know, the 12 steps is not the fountain of youth, it's the fountain of you. It's about increasing the love for myself, increasing talking to myself positively, have positive communication with myself, and then I can have positive communication with my creator, and then I can have positive communication with others. So it's a beautiful experience. And life is predicated around the sweetness of joy, oh man, and the bitterness of pain. Life is a big, fast game. You either win or you lose. Well, how do you lose? You lose from losing the will to care and the will to live. And the awakening, the spiritual awakening, is just not spiritual. It's also physical, realizing the time, the situation, and the circumstances I find my condition in. Wake up. That's why I needed a message with depth and weight to shake me up. I'm in a lethargy, a spiritual lethargy. I'm in a slumber. I'm in a sleep. I'm in zero. Hmm? Shake me up. I'm dreaming I'm alive, but I'm spiritually asleep. And time is moving with incredible speed. And I'm not even keeping up with time. I'm behind time when I'm spiritually asleep, lost in the sauce, running the streets, trying to be hip, trying to be slick, trying to be cool. For what? For who? It's all bullshit when you look at it squarely in the eye. It's all bullshit. The only reality in life is God. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. It's pretendo. And I'm in the heart of Hollywood. Everybody may not be actually getting paid to be actors, but in Hollywood, everybody wants to be an actor, whether they're on stage or not. And what you see out here is not what you get, including me, when I'm not connected to staying step centered. Yeah. So the only thing that is the most important thing in my life now is be contributing to life when, where, and how, whenever I can. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the work, but it can be in other areas. And being a demonstrator of this process of recovery has done for me. People rather see a sermon than to hear a sermon. I realized that a long time ago, some people are able to get clean through religion. I've met people that use drugs in my life with me, and they've gone back to church and we got reborn. However, I'm not like them. I needed to clean up the wreckage of my past. I couldn't just knock on your door with a leaflet and say, "Hi, good afternoon, greetings. My name is Alton. I've been reborn again. I'm going to heaven. Would you like to go? May I share this leaflet with you, sir?" That wouldn't cut through the grease for me, um, because I don't know what their hands have done in their past for drugs or alcohol, but I know what my hands have done. And the people that I would go back to and say, "Hi, my name is Alton, and I found Jesus, and I'm reborn again. And I have a leaflet I like to share with you because I like to see you go to heaven too." The people that, if I went back to them with that, which I'm not knocking, I'm glad others can do that. I just not can't be on that path. I would like that softer and easier way, but it wouldn't have worked for me because if I told them that, they would say, "Yeah, I'm glad you're going to heaven, but what about my goddamn television you stole? I'm glad you're going to heaven, but what about that time you put your gun in my face? I'm glad you're going to heaven, but what about that time you kept my car for 3 or 4 weeks? I'm glad you're going to heaven, but what about that time you broke my glass window to get in my house to steal uh, everything in it?" So for me, I realized doing step 9, that wouldn't have cut the mustard. I needed to make face-to-face amends, and I did. I went through all my cards and I completed all my amends. Went to my mother's gravesite because she died when I was on the phone talking to the dope man for a $50 raw spoon of heroin. And I got clear. I got free at the cemetery, and I never had to go back. I never had to go back on Memorial Day or any other day, a birthday or whatever, to go back and regret the past and all that with her. I was, it was, I was clear that it was a complete spiritual period that was put to the the harm that I've caused her. And I never had to go back and put flowers on her grave. For one thing, she can't smell them. And the other thing, I don't know about anywhere else out here, they steal your mother's flowers on her grave, sell them. But out here, I never had to go back with flowers or birthdays or holidays to reminisce or any of that. Her memories are still in the album of my memory, and I thank God that I had her as a parent. No matter what the shortcomings were, she did the best she could, even though she let me shoot heroin in the house. Because she loved me so much, she loved me to death, you know. And I didn't understand it then. I just thought I had a hip, slick, and cool mother. But then actually, she just loved me to death. She didn't know how to really love me healthy. It wasn't a healthy love. But I love her still. And it's all good. Today, it's all good. And I like to say to the newcomer, if you don't hear anything out of what I've shared, because when you go to meetings, we're supposed to look for the right of what is being shared. And if you're like me, when you first came around, I would look for what was wrong. I would look for what you say that's wrong instead of what you say that's right. And what I understand is when I'm looking for what a person is sharing when they share that's wrong, instead of looking for what they're sharing that's right, I didn't come here to look for right. I came here to look for wrong. And that's a bad habit. I had to change that quick. If I wanted to save myself, I needed to stop immediately They want to look for the right of what people are saying. Because the wrong would show its own self up. I don't have to chase wrong for what you're saying. All I have to do is chase what you're saying that's right, or what you're doing is right. That's it. Because I'm always looking for the right, not always looking for the wrong today, of what is being shared and what is being done. So if I was looking for the wrong and what Joe Hawk was saying, I wouldn't be sharing this day. I wouldn't have made the 43 years by the grace of God, by God's power. And that's why I always start off sharing. I want to thank the Lord of Lords, the God of gods, and the King of kings. Most of what I share never changes. Never changes. I always start off with, like I said, being the people of the lie is easy to overestimate my recovery and underestimate my disease. That's why I take it a day at a time. And whatever I go through, I still try to think positive in terms of why. I ask myself this so my ego won't fuck with it. Why am I so blessed? Even if I got a flat tire. Why am I so happy? Even if I got a flat tire. Why why do I love God so much? Why do I love myself? Why do I love others? Why do I love to be of service? Why do I love the truth? So my ego won't fuck with it. Because if I say I am happy, I am healthy, I am this and that, it will fuck with it. But I trick my ego and say it a different way. Irregardless, it's pouring down raining. And I will still say, why is it such a beautiful day? I may not like the rain, but I'll still say it. It's the law of attraction. The more I say what I don't want, the more the universe will give me. More of what I don't want, more of what I don't like. The more I say what I do like, what I do love, creation gives me more of what I do like and more of what I do love. And that's my belief. That's mine. May not be yours. That's mine. That's what gets me through these years. As I get older, I have to find what works for me. You know what I mean? So I'm still here and I'm on a spiritual basis. I try to live on a spiritual basis. It's not lofty, it's real because the world is crazy. It's insane. It's America is at this time is insane and violent. But I still say what I say to myself, to myself. And I always try to keep goals and objectives to stay active, to stay active, to keep upgrading in my life, and to stay out of the deep pit of morass or the deep pit of self-pity. Because once you in that pit, it's a rascal to get out because of the voices. We all have negative voices. We all have that negative whisper. You can be on a bridge on a beautiful blue sky day. And when the sky is blue, the ocean is blue. When the sky is gray, the ocean is gray. But let's say today the ocean is blue because the sky is blue and it's calm and it's beautiful and everybody's smiling and speaking to one another. And you're on the bridge just looking at the ocean and the seagulls, and all of a sudden a goddamn voice within will say, jump! What? Where the fuck that come from? Jump? Suicidal? What the fuck is this shit? It's the same thing that says I go to bed at night and say, fuck some heroin. I don't want that shit. But I have the mind of an addict that would say in the morning, damn, a spoon of heroin sounds like a good ass idea. And be at a dope house wondering how the fuck did I wind up here? This ain't what I wanted to do because of the strange, peculiar mental twists that I suffer from, the strange mental blank spots that I suffer from, the lack of proportion and the inability to think straight that I suffer from. That's the bullshit. The mind that plans against my back. That's the bullshit. Because I acquire what? Food, clothing, and shelter? What? You got the right woman, the right job, the right neighborhood, the right car? What? You got all the ducks in a row? And then people wonder, what happened? Jack, why did you relapse? Jack. And he says, I don't know. You had everything going. You had all the ducks in a row, pal. What the fuck? Why did you do it, baby? Your mom, your pops, your children are crying. Dad, you've been clean for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. What the fuck? What happened? Oh my God. And he says, I don't know. I don't know. Leave me the fuck alone. I don't know. Yeah, he's telling the truth. He don't know. He forgot. He got away. He stopped worshiping God and started worshiping all the things that is going his way instead of God. That's the illusions. Hundreds of different forms of illusion. Hundreds of different forms of illusions. That I got power because I got everything I've ever wanted, clean and sober. That's great as long as you don't worship all the things you got clean and sober. Yeah, you you clean and sober and you got everything and you got a big screen TV and every night you watching the fucking your favorite basketball team, you watching your favorite baseball team, you watching your favorite golf player, whatever the fuck you doing. And you don't even realize that's your fucking idol. It ain't even God no more, motherfucker. You you in the idolatry. You worshiping, motherfucker, these motherfucking people on TV. That ain't even God. Or you worshiping your shit, your money, your car, your jewelry, your woman, or your man. It ain't even God. The shit is a slippery fucking slope. Whatever and whoever makes you feel happy, dappy the most, you better watch out. That might be who you really worship or what you really worship. We as addicts and alcoholics can't be like that with these other normal motherfuckers. They don't lose everything worshiping football teams and basketball teams and uh, entertainers and actors and shit like that. They don't lose everything when they idolize, uh, whatever. I do. Because soon as if I'm idolizing and I'm worshiping a woman, God forbid, I'm fucked. Because shit, I'd say, hey, we need to talk. Oh shit. You know what that fucking means, fellas? That means the next thing is this relationship is working for you, but it ain't working for me. Well, can we talk about it in the morning? Hell no. We need to talk about it now. Hey, well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't give a fuck. I can't sleep with you here. You got to go. You see, I learned early the best game in life is what's in your name. The keys in my pocket better belong to me and to what I have because it's in the Bible and it's been true for hundreds of years. God bless the child that's got his own food, his own clothing, and his own shelter. That's the whole point of having goals and objectives. To make that a goal when you get clean and sober, newcomer, obtain your own housing, obtain your own employment, obtain your own keys to your own shit. So you don't feel like you're still smoking and drinking when people tell you you gotta go. Like you've been drinking and smoking and you haven't. You don't need to experience that shit clean and sober. That's why we try to become what we're supposed to become. Independent men and women. As far as having our own food, clothing, and shelter. I gotta play catch up once I get clean and sober. I gotta play catch up. I got work to do. Now that I'm clean and sober, I see the time. I see my situation. I see my circumstances. And I gotta do something about it. Because it's unacceptable for me not to have my own shit. I learned that early being at my sister's house. When I was going through the work in the beginning with Joe Hawk. That was a good lesson. It didn't feel good, but I didn't want to feel that anymore. I didn't like it. And that was with my sister. She loved me, but that's her shit. And she had to remind me, this is my shit. You're getting too comfortable. I wasn't comfortable there because what the activities were, but I'm just saying, even if the circumstances weren't like that, the worst thing you can do in somebody else's shit is get comfortable because they're gonna watch you and they're gonna see that you're comfortable. You're not making any effort. You don't have any enthusiasm to get what they got, to do what they do every day, to maintain what they got. And it ain't about keeping up with the Joneses. It's just rudiments of life, fundamentals of life for a person to have their own shit. And that's what parents are supposed to, most cases, are supposed to prepare a child to do. Look, I'm not going to be with you all my life, all your life. And I need you to do thus and thus and so. So when I'm gone or when I'm on my deathbed, I don't have to worry about, Lord have mercy. Oh my God, what is my boy going to do? What is my daughter going to do? When I leave this world, this cold, cruel world, ain't nobody going to give a fuck about him or her. And so therefore, the reason why I say this is because every mother and father doesn't rest in peace when they die. That's why we say, may you rest in peace. Why would they say, may you rest in peace? If you might rest in peace or you might not rest in peace. I think it depends on what the fuck crisis your child is going through, let alone yourself, because you're getting ready to die, that all you think about is your child. A lot of parents don't even think about their cancer or their uh or their situation more than they think about their child, their grown son, their grown daughter. They think about them more than they think about sometimes their children that are doing well. The ones that are doing well and say, oh, mom, all you talk about is Alton. Alton don't give a fuck about himself. Alton don't give a fuck about a place to stay. Alton don't give a fuck about this and that and the job and that and that. He don't care. Why you always asking us, where is he? How come he's not here? You know where he is. He's in the streets. You know where he is. He's somewhere drunk. You know where he is. He's in prison. You know where he is. He don't care. He don't care about you. You ain't heard from him. You ain't seen him, and neither have we. And all you talk about is him. And we are here, and we always here, and always been here. How is that poor woman going to rest in peace when she takes her last holy breath with my disease have worried her or him to death? Don't be like me and have to make amends after they die. Don't be like me, trying to make amends after they're dead and buried. And nobody speaks to you at the funeral because you still use it. And nobody gives you a hug. And nobody tells you that they're sorry for your loss because everybody feels you added to their death. You gave them no hope. You gave them nothing to worthy to remember you by except pain and suffering and disappointment. Life moves with incredible speed. Life is the time. Time is the essence of everything. And that is the first thing that we recognize once we go through the 12 steps is the time, the situation, and my circumstances, because I was blind, deaf, and dumb to my condition, my self-imposed crisis. So I had to come to believe that there's a power greater than myself that will give me a second chance in life. A second chance. Oh my God. Oh my God. Everybody don't get a second chance. Because some of us don't wake up or see the truth, the light, and the way, clean and sober. A lot of us don't get a chance to see that because they did not come to the realization that they need help, and they die in the disease. It's a beautiful thing to see the truth in step one instead of to see the truth in the disease. It's too late to see the truth in the disease. It's too late. You died. Uh, I've had a lot of people that I took through the work, and they had tried to do the work several times, and they kept relapsing. They were chronic relapses because they wouldn't see the truth. They just wouldn't believe that the game is over. Yeah, and they died. Been many funerals, many, as they say. But for the grace of God, there go I. And the game is not over for me. There's no cure. That's why there's no big eyes and little U's. There's no cure. Look, alcoholism and drug addiction is a riddle. It's a riddle. No one has all the answers. It's a riddle. Okay, how long a motherfucker been clean and sober? In fact, like I said earlier, the further away I get from my last drink pill of fix, the closer I get to my next drink pill of fix. Why? Because I'm only clean by the grace of God today. There's no cure. I get well, but not cured. And that's contingent on a daily basis. That I do the work with others, to stay close to God and do the best I can with
the cards. So
being a responsible, accountable, reliable, helpful, contribute to life, be of service individual. And that's as good as it gets. To be a good employee, to be a good father. You know, I sent my daughter to school. She's graduated from college, I paid for most of it. I mean, it's not even about me now. I'm the past. She's the present. And whenever she gets children, they'll be the future. And that's it. That's the cycle of life. Daddy and father are two different things. The word daddy means did it. So if a woman walks up and she's pregnant and nobody knew she was pregnant, she starts showing. Everybody said, "Girl, you pregnant? Who did it?" It means daddy. Who's the dad? Oh, so and so is the daddy. I mean, he's the one that did it. Now, father is something different. That's somebody that's spiritual. A father is spiritual. A daddy is just the motherfucker that did it. You got a lot of daddies. Motherfucker did it, but the child don't even know the motherfucker. That's a daddy. A father is someone who actually is hands-on with the child, good, bad, or indifferent. Even if he's not loved or liked by the mother, he's still there for his child to the best of his ability or her ability. Still there for the child. But like I said, my story doesn't change. It's been what it is what it is. And I relied on God to share something for the newcomer to help them understand that this is about life and death. Like it says in the book, we're on a life and death errand. So I want to end with this. I may not be all I can be. I may not be all I should be. But man, oh man, oh man, I thank God I am not who I used to be. Thank you, sir, for letting me share my experience, strength, and hope. May God bless all of you with the light of understanding. Amen.